please give me any advice. He said, just shut the up and sing.
First 2 minutes of the show, we got Jack made an appearance.
Come here. We ended up killing all these ducks. Kenny talked shit about my dog. You know, I'd have to make some mistakes to figure out who the hell you are in the first place. It was football first for me. NFL was my goal. I went and worked at NASCAR for Hendrick Motorsports. I got a text from a girl that played volleyball at Carolina. She said, hey, would you want to be on Survivor? You got a good voice. You should be a country singer. And that was like the equivalent of saying, you should go be an astronaut. Like,
Yeah.
Cool, let me go do that real quick.
Hey y'all, it's Pat. Welcome to another episode of Like a Farmer. I am at Chase Rice's farm today. We're going to be talking a lot of country music, a lot of bars, a lot of his most recent new album, and everything in between. As always, a new episode comes out every Wednesday on YouTube and wherever you listen to your audio podcast. Let's get into it. Chase Rice, everybody. Chase, I'm excited to be right here on your farm. Thank you for having me out.
I'm excited to be on my farm. We've been touring with Dirk, so I haven't been home in God knows how long. So thank you for doing it here.
And we just talked a little bit off camera. Like, this is the first time, and you're probably going to see, as you're watching this episode, the famous dog of country music, Jack.
Jack's roaming around back there. Do whatever you want, buddy. Party on. That's his,
There, see, first 2 minutes of the show, we got Jack made an appearance.
Come here.
Tell me, there you
Buddy,
go.
you're going to
Look
need
at
to calm down today. We're doing Daddy's working. But yeah, he's, Party On's his release command. Like, just do whatever you want. But he's such a good dog.
How long have you had Jack?
He's 3.5 now, so I've had him since he was 10 weeks old. And he's been in and out of duck training at Mossy Pond down in Georgia for his whole life, basically. So earlier this year, he got his master hunter, and that's as far as I want to take him. So he'll tune up September while I'm elk hunting, and then he's mine for 11 months out of the year now. Thank God.
This is a great first segment of the show. When you think about, like, you buy Jack, and in your mind, hey, this is going to be a hunting dog.
Yeah.
Like, give me the process out there on, okay, you just said he's a master hunter, so how does that even work?
So I decided to get him, first of all, in Lynchburg, Tennessee. Chad Belding had a black lab there, and I was deciding on what kind of dog I wanted. I knew I wanted a bird dog, and Chad was like, if you want a duck dog, black lab all the way. I didn't know if I wanted him that shed, but he doesn't really shed that bad, and I never had a dog, so I got in my mind what, kind of things I want in a dog, and I never wanted a black lab. I never wanted a lab because I thought they shed. But he's not bad on that, and I've gotten used to it. I just put blankets up, but he got me in touch with Brad Arrington from Mossy Pond, and Mossy Pond's they train a bunch of duck dogs down in Georgia. And I told Brad what I wanted. I said, I want a duck dog for, duck season, but he's going to be a pet. Like, I don't know what it's going to look like, but he's probably going to go everywhere with me. And he's the first dog I've ever had, so it's been a learning process. But we put together a plan when he was 6 months. He went down there. I had him at 6 months, didn't train him, just socialized him. Brad was like, just make sure he's socialized around a lot of people, other dogs. I said, I don't think that's going to be a problem. And then backstage, within the first month of his life, he's just roaming around, just loving people. So he's been socialized really well. Then at 6 months, he trained for 6 months, that first one, got him back for 6 months. Then he went for 5 months, and then he went for 4 months over the first 3 years of his life. So that got him to his master, and now he's mine. Like, he could go on and do field trials and all that. He's a good enough dog, but I want my dog. Like, at that point, he's not even my pet. So he's unbelievable. He flies with me.
I think at this point, he might be more famous than you.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm his agent, so I make all his money. So this dog, at some point, I truly believe this dog has made me money. I think people show up sometimes to just to see
Jack.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I'm good.
So this is the main reason why I wanted to have you on the show, Chase. Like, you think about country music and the storytelling of singing songs, and Josh and I started this show to celebrate the rural America lifestyle. And like, that's who you are. I mean, we've been talking off camera. I mean, you love being on the farm, you love hunting, you love fishing. Yeah. Like, where did that passion come from?
It started when I was young. My brother took me dove hunting all the time. Casey was always the hunter of the family. Older brother Chad, he would bird hunt, but he wouldn't get into deer and anything bigger than that. And then it was all birds and stuff. Got into whitetail in high school. And then about 8 years ago, I started duck hunting a good bit, started elk hunting like crazy. But I wasn't full on with duck hunting. Like I knew there was another level that I just like to get me to want to do it even more. And that was when I was like, I want to get a duck dog. Funny enough, Kenny Chesney's song, love what I do, love what I'm mad, no, my old black hat. In that song, I think it's called Love, Loving You or something. He says a line about my old bird dog. I like to watch him run. And that line from high school made me always want a bird dog. And so that's when I decided to go ahead and do it. That put me head first into the deep end of duck hunting. And it's been the best thing you could ever ask for. I bring him on stage. I bring him everywhere. He goes duck hunting. And when I'm duck hunting, if I don't pull the trigger, I'm good.
You're still having a good time.
Yeah, because when everybody else is killing birds, or I'll kill birds, then your job's over. But that's when my job begins to, go. That's the best part of duck hunting for me, sending him out. Because if he goes on a 150-yard blind, and sometimes I don't even know where the duck is, and then he all of a sudden brings the duck back, it's like, that's the coolest feeling in the world. Because you're also not losing birds. There's a lot of hunts you do in like North Carolina over water or whatever where you're not going to get those birds unless you have a dog.
It's a man's best friend.
Yeah.
So let's back up. You grew up in Asheville, North Carolina.
I grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida first.
Okay. Wow, Florida. That's something. Okay.
That's how I became a Gator.
There we go. And I do want to hit on that. I'm excited to do that.
My dad's best friend was one of the Tommy Durrance, one of the best running backs from back in the day. Tebow broke some of his records, so he had records up until Tebow. But that's how I was a Gator. And then when I was 11, I moved to North Carolina. 11 until college, I stayed in North Carolina. I went to UNC. And we lived on a horse farm in Florida, horse farm in North Carolina. And that's how I got this place, was I always wanted to farm.
Farming was in your blood since day one.
Yeah. And it was horse farms, do hay and stuff. This place is a American buffalo bison farm. I had horses on originally. Don't have any right now. May do it down the road. But chickens, a dog, and buffalo is a wild combination. The buffalo mainly. Those things
buffalo is the one that throws the wrench in things sometimes.
What?
Yeah.
But it's awesome. And they work here well in Tennessee.
So in North Carolina, was music kind of your thing growing up? I mean, you played sports, so football obviously, but at what point was it like, okay, I actually kind of like the music side?
It was football first for me. NFL was my goal. And junior year, back half of sophomore year, I played well. Junior year, I was one of the main guys. Like, I never came off the field.
And this is at UNC?
At Carolina.
Okay.
And we just got Butch Davis, who you remember him back from the Miami days. And when Butch came in, changed the culture, we started winning games. Chuck Pagano was our D coordinator, and that staff was insane. And Chuck had me playing great. And junior year, I was the guy. It was my time. I'm like, I am good enough to play in the NFL. Like, this could get
What
real.
position you were playing?
I was a linebacker.
Okay.
Look like a wide receiver now.
Yeah.
But, and then the first game against James Madison, I got hurt. Keep in mind, I just learned to play guitar like the year before that. Dorm room, picking with buddies. Ben Lemming, offensive lineman, would play. I would sing. He'd teach me some stuff on guitar, but I wasn't very good. And I think it was a Brad Paisley song. We were just sitting there singing it. And he was like, dude, you got a good voice. You should be a country singer. And that was like the equivalent of saying, you should go be an astronaut. Like,
yeah.
Cool. Let me go do that real quick. But then that junior year, I busted my ankle up real bad. First game of the year, I'm done. It's just like everything ever worked for is gone. That year, I learned to play better, learned more songs. Hadn't written anything yet. Going into my senior year, couldn't move as well. I wasn't the same player. And my dad had just died. So it was just like everything fell apart within 12 months. And I was done with football at that point. I didn't care. But I loved writing songs. I wrote my first song about my dad. I'm miserable. Took a trip down to UGA, wrote a song called Georgia Girl. In the basement, I saw the album I put together like in college at this place called Night Sound Studios in Carborough. And it's not very good, but it's like, it's got some stuff on it. It's like, okay, he could do this. I was writing everything by myself, wrote one with Brian Kelly from FGL. But I was talking to Riley recently, and about, I think some of the songs he's written recently he wrote by himself. And he had the same mindset as me. It's like, I used to write all the time by myself. Why am I not doing that anymore? And that's how he wrote some of these new songs by himself. And that's was my mindset too on the last album. And so I just learned to write songs that way and write them real production. Back then, before tracks and all that took over country music. And so that was my world. And after Carolina, I went and worked at NASCAR for Hendrick Motorsports.
Okay, yeah.
We were like Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon. And I was the rookie guys coming in. We had like 9 of us.
And when you say, so you're getting recruited, because this is a big thing that I see a lot. So Ross Chastain's a friend of the show, and I love Ross, and we've got a big partnership. We're actually highlighting the American farmer. So we bring a farmer to every single NASCAR race every single week. And I mean, partner with an 8th generation watermelon farmer. But getting to learn that NASCAR team, it seems like the pit crews, I mean, it's one of those things like, hey, these guys were either going to go to the NFL or come and work. I mean, these guys are monsters.
Yeah,
right?
and there was some of that
are they recruiting you to go?
There was some of that going on, ex-football players, ex-baseball, ex-sports, whatever. And then Hendrick put together a program where they brought in 9 or 11. I can't remember how many of us there were, but brought us all in together. We lived in a hotel. It was not a fun situation. We're getting like $17,000 a year. And that worked. That was the first program they ever put together where it was like bring all of them in, see what happens. A couple of our guys within like 5 or 6 months were on Jimmy's or Jeff's crew or whoever, Junior. And I was post-football, post-dad dying, writing songs. Like the only thing I loved in the world was writing songs. And I'd go back every day after practice to the hotel by myself and just pick on guitar and write songs. And that's when I wrote that first kind of college album. But I was miserable. Like the best job I could ever ask for post-football, working in NASCAR for the best race team in the world. And I was miserable just because I wanted to write songs. I wanted to move to Nashville. And so I never became great at that. I could have been awesome at that, and I just didn't care. So I remember talking to the pastor guy that Hendrick Motorsports would bring every Tuesday or something. I said, man, I really want to move to Nashville and go after this thing. He said, what the hell are you still doing here then? Like, get out of here. But I couldn't quit the job. It's too good of a job. And opportunity was great. Mm-hmm. The situation then wasn't, but you can make good money doing that. But Survivor randomly, I was back in Chapel Hill, and I got a text from a girl that played volleyball at Carolina. She said, hey, would you want to be on Survivor? And I just responded, sure, why not? Like, what? Like, I didn't think it would happen.
Was this like OG? I mean, did Survivor just start?
It was season 21, so it'd been going a little while. But I didn't know the show. I knew of it, but I didn't watch it. And so I half-assed the whole process of even getting on the show. They want the country guy. They want the guy from New York. They want the girl from wherever. And I half-assed that whole thing and somehow got on. And do that, ended up getting second. Came back.
What does that mean when you get second? Like, is that just your...
It means you lose $1 million, first of all.
Okay, so you don't get anything second place.
I got $100,000.
Okay,
which was huge.
Yeah.
And people are like, you didn't lose $1 million. It wasn't yours in the first place. But I'm like,
who won it that year?
A kid named Fabio. He was 21. And he earned it.
How can you? I need the rundown. Like, what was the hardest thing that you had to do on that show?
Food. No food. We had rice, like 2 spoonfuls of rice in the morning, 2 in the evening. And then funny enough.
And where were you? Like what?
Nicaragua.
Okay.
And
it's unbelievable.
It was cool. It was a wild experience looking back, but I was 6-0 for food challenges. Like if you win, you go on this excursion and you get all this cool stuff and you get to eat food. I was 6-0, and any immunity challenge which assures you that you're going to be on the show and you can't go home. I was 0-6, so I was food driven. If I wanted it, I was going to win.
What's Fabio doing today, you think? You still talk to him?
We did a podcast or a reunion thing on Zoom during COVID, I think. Last time I talked to him. But I don't know. He seemed like he was doing good.
He got $1 million.
He had $1 million, and I didn't. But that $100,000, so I came back from that. I looked horrible. Like a little girl at the airport walks up to me, and I had my buddy's Army backpack on. I had beard still. This is the day after we got back to Miami. And I'm walking through the airport. I'd lost 34, 38 pounds, something like that. And this little girl walks up to me, and she's like almost a tear in her eyes. She's like, "Thank you so much." And I just looked down at her. I was like, "For what?" She said, "Thank you so much for your service to our country." I just looked that bad. Like I was a POW type situation. And I just kind of nodded my head and kept walking. But that's how I couldn't get up and walk. Like you're just emaciated. And the next weekend, my mom cooked me some food, and, you're back in real life. I hit up Brian from FGL, and I said, "I'm coming to Nashville. I'd been once. I'm coming. I want to come hang with the boys." And he said, "Perfect." So I get to the house in Green Hills. It was an old rundown just before Green Hills was really nice. And one of their buddies had gotten severe depression and moved back to Kentucky, so they had a room available in their house. And Brian was like, "Yeah, Tyler's already got a roommate coming in." And I said, "Okay, well, that sucks because now I really want to move here." And I had $100,000 to do it, so I had money to last a little while. And that night we went to Tin Roof on Demumbrian, and that was my favorite bar. Still is to this day, but I don't go there like I used to.
What would be your top three, just out of curiosity, like top three Nashville bars right now?
I love Losers.
Yeah, I mean,
Losers is staple. Tin Roof, my buddy Josh, the GM, ended up leaving, but that's my first bar I ever went to in Nashville. So, oh man, third, I couldn't even tell you a third. Those are the only two I really go to.
Losers and Tin Roof. I mean, that's a good combo to have.
I try to stay away from Broadway.
Yeah,
but through that we went to Tin Roof that night, and through whatever we drank that night, it was discussed, and we put together a plan. You know what? We'll figure out the other roommate thing. Go ahead and move here. So the next day I went back to Asheville, North Carolina. Told my mom I'm moving to Nashville. I got enough money to last a little while. And I moved into Brian and Tyler's house. And that was like when they were starting Florida Georgia Line. So I moved into them. They'd write songs. I'd watch. I'd hang out. Me and Brian would write a lot together. Me and Tyler would write a lot together. And that's how I learned to write songs with other people. And it was FGL, and then FGL turned into FGL.
Yeah, you want to talk about a good, just people to be around when they're still in the growth stage. I mean,
they taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And that was when FGL was just heater after heater. We ended up writing Cruise like a year after I moved to town. We just stumbled across that one. It was kind of like you and I sitting here with guitars, and Brian out of nowhere we were writing a slow song. And Brian just hits a C chord and, "Baby, you like a song, make me want to roll my," goes into that. And Jesse and I just kind of looked at him like, "What the hell's that?" He said, "I don't know, but it's sick." And we wrote it in like 45 minutes. And that was the first song we'd ever written when I was writing with Brian or Tyler, because we were always writing for me, and they'd always write together for themselves. That was the first song we'd ever written where Brian was freaking out, just like, this is Florida Georgia Line all day. We could crush this. And their first single was supposed to be a song called "Tip It Back," and then they were going to go with Cruise as their second single. But when they put out that first EP with Cruise on it, it was screaming. So they switched it to first single, and Brian told me it was going to be their first song at radio. And I'm like, a band nobody's heard of, first song at radio is going to fail. And I couldn't have been more wrong about that one.
Total opposite. Are you kidding me?
Changed my life and allowed me to buy a place like this. The interesting thing about that was learning to write with those guys. I started writing what they were writing. That's all I knew. And I wasn't a great writer. I had some promise, but wasn't a great guitar player. I was just learning this whole thing. So I had all this success real early. And in my mind, I'm like, this is easy. Like, the music industry is so easy. And I learned the truth of that over the last 8 years. But that's how I started writing songs. And that's why when you look back at even the first album I ever put out that had success was called Ignite the Night. And it was platinum and had Ready, Set, Roll, top 5, Gonna Want on number 2. I think it had a song called Ride on there. That was a viral thing before viral was a thing. But it shaped who I was for the next 8 years. And the whole time I'm doing it, though, I was a huge fan of Eric Church. I was a huge fan of Jay Joyce, who was his producer, and the weird stuff they were doing, and it wasn't pop. I just didn't know how to do it, so I was like, okay, I guess this is my lane. And I was having success with it, so it was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing now. And leading all the way up through the success I had of that, all the way until like 2020. 2020 was a huge year for me as far as getting away from music, because we all got away from everything.
Yeah.
And I started living life with my Navy SEAL buddies, some hockey buddies, and I was just living life. We had parties out here on the farm. We had kickball tournaments. Like, we had a lot of normal life stuff that I hadn't had in 10 years, which is just hanging out with friends, because 10 years before that was just tour. I want to be selling out Nissan Stadium. What I didn't realize was I wasn't good enough to do that. Like, the music I was making wasn't good enough. It was not me. I was just chasing whatever was popular. And 2020 happened and started having fun. Didn't write songs for a while. First song I wrote during COVID was by myself. Go back to that Riley conversation. By myself in the living room right here. It's called If I Were Rock and Roll. Wrote that. I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't know what it is, but it feels like the old days of writing songs with a guitar. Then I wrote a song called Life Part of Living. Then I wrote a song called Bench Seat about Jack. And one of my best friends' story and how that came to life. As I was writing them, I was like, oh, this would be cool for someday down the road. And I don't know why that was my mindset, because I was so stuck in that pop thing. And then after the third one, I was like, this isn't down the road. This is right now. And there was just that line in the sand during COVID where it was just like, everybody was just going after each other. Everybody, it was a weird time, especially social media was tearing people apart. So
Nobody had anything better to do, right? I mean,
yeah, it was tough times, but I got off of social media, and that's when I was like, okay, well, if this line's going to be in the sand and everybody hates me over here and doesn't hate me over here or whatever, I'm going to do my thing for the first time in my whole career. And that's when I wrote that I Hate Cowboys and All Dogs Go to Hell record. Met Jay Joyce. We did some songs together. He didn't want to do a full album. And we had a great conversation about that. It wasn't anything malicious or whatnot. But through that, I'd already known about this guy, Oscar Charles, who's now my producer. He did that album. He did the Go Down Singin record that we're about to put out. And he's my guy. We just spent time in Colorado, post Red Rocks with Dirks. And we stayed in an A-frame cabin with Wyatt McCubbin and wrote 9 songs in 3 days. And it was like, all right, well, we wrote another record. So I think I'm going to record that this December and put that out early next year. It's like no reason not to. I'm independent now.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't have
independent now, meaning like
no record deal.
Okay. Hey y'all, it's Pat, and I'm back to talk to you today about this episode's presenting sponsor, Ag America. Some of my favorite people. Ag America is your go-to financial partner for all things agriculture. As the largest independent financial firm dedicated to rural America, Ag America is changing the game of ag lending and leveling up financing options for farmers, ranchers, and landowners across the nation. I'm going to let you in on a secret, too. The thing that sets this company apart from the rest are the people. They understand firsthand the unique needs of American farmers and ranchers because many of them grew up on the farm themselves. They take a farmer-focused approach to finance, prioritizing relationships over transactions to help you build a stronger financial foundation for your farm and your family. So whether you're looking to buy land or secure working capital, Ag America has your back. Visit agamerica.com today to learn more and see how they can help you achieve long-term financial success. Because when farmers thrive, we all do. Hey y'all, it's Pat. I'm here to talk about one of my favorite sponsors, Fresh from Florida. The food always tastes better when it's grown closer to home. When you look for the Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, you know you're getting the freshest, best tasting, and highest quality products available. From Florida farms to your table, our farmers work year-round to bring you freshness that only the Sunshine State can offer. Whether it's lettuce in winter or citrus in summer, Florida delivers flavors that celebrate every season. Fresh from Florida, grown by local farmers, enjoyed by you, all year long.
So I was with Broken Bow.
Yep.
Throughout all the early years, I was Sony. It's weird. I've gotten out of 2 record deals on my own. That one we asked out, I signed 1 piece of paper and they let me go. I think they saw the writing on the wall where it was just like, this kid's going nowhere. He's had his day. Let's get him out of our hair.
Yeah.
Cool. They let me go. Then I was at Broken Bow, had Eyes on You, Drink a Beer Talk, got him in. Good success, but it was still not quite what I was really wanting to do, that I didn't know how to do. Then 2020, it was just like I wrote these new albums that I don't think Broken Bow knew what to do with. It wasn't working at radio. So through that, I had a clause in my contract too to where I could get out of the record deal. They didn't even know. So when I went to them late last year, said, hey guys, this ain't working for me no more. I'd rather just do it on my own. And my manager was a big part of that. He said, dude, you've always been independent, dude. Like, you don't really work well with labels. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being told if I have an album ready that, okay, well, yeah, we got Aldine and Laney. We'll push you to next March. Like, that just doesn't make sense in my head. So I got out of that deal, and this Go Down Singin' record's the first record I ever put out that was just me. And while we were recording it, Bad Day to Be a Cold Beer got pulled from the radio. I got no CMA, anything, which I get because it's the first album I've ever put out that's actually had, critically acclaimed in a way. But you got to earn it. Like, you can't just put one album out and expect everybody to be like, oh, he's good now and we like him. I knew we had to keep doing it. But that video for Bench Seat that I thought should have gotten something, didn't. It went to Laney and Jelly from our label. And then, which is fair. I mean, they're crushing. And they didn't approve the budget to record the album that we were in recording, which it ended up becoming the Go Down Singin' record. So it was all these things that was just like, okay, this makes perfect sense to do whatever I want now.
Yeah. I think the cool thing about that is you're independent on that side, but I've met some of your management team. You have a great management team. What EB does and her group for you is there's second to none. I mean, so you surround yourself with great people, and I've got to give EB a shout out because you can just like EB, but then you check her resume and it's like, oh, she's actually legit. So you've surrounded you know what I'm saying?
You got George Strait,
like just look
Chesney,
at the data speaks for itself.
Morgan.
But you surround yourself with good people. So you going independent might end up being one of the best decisions you make.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, even as we're sitting here, is I'm not sure EB knew what to do with me for 5 or 6 years because I was all over the place and I'm doing these weird pop albums. I think she even knew I wasn't being myself, but I was lost. I didn't know what to do. And now that since the Cowboys record and the Go Down Singin' record, it's so easy. Like, we're sitting here talking about farming and hunting.
Yep.
Like, that's my life outside of music. And that dog's changed my life.
And that's what people want to hear. Like you talked about COVID, and the one thing COVID did, I did a magazine the other day, and they said, well, how has this show been so successful? And it's like, look what COVID did, and it got people outside, and now everybody wants to live this lifestyle. Yeah. Everybody wants to drive a pickup truck. Everybody wants to wear cowboy boots. Everybody wants to listen to country music. Now, you know, I want to, and we got to pull up the stats. I want to say Spotify put some out. It's like 25% more country music is streaming this year. Like, it's crazy that people want to be in this lifestyle. So that's super cool. Question that I had for you, because there must be something in the water when it comes to North Carolina, because you were obviously great on the football field, but before UNC, I mean, that high school y'all went to, that's the one. I mean, Combs went there. You were
Caleb Presley.
Caleb was your quarterback, wasn't he?
He was the year after me.
Okay.
So him and
did you know
Luke
him?
Were closer. Yeah, I knew who he was because he was the quarterback that came up after our team.
Was he any good in high school?
Yeah, he was a good quarterback.
Was he?
I don't think he ended up walking on at Carolina. I don't know if he was like a next level guy. I don't know what he would say about that, but I don't think he got a scholarship or anything like that. And that's not. Our high school did not pump out quarterbacks. We didn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
When I was there, especially, we ran the ball every play. So quarterback's not a thing that's going to move on to the next level at our school. But he ended up walking on at Carolina. Ended up becoming the head of morale or something.
Yeah, that's what he was.
And that's when he started becoming funny. He probably always was, but he grew his hair out. He was always wearing the NFL jerseys. and his job was to make people laugh and be happy.
I think he's doing all right now.
He's killing it
yeah.
now. God dang, Caleb. We own a couple of business things together too. We're in business together, and he's a great dude to be around. Luke Combs was right around the same time as Caleb. I think they were a couple of years apart. I don't know who was older there. Probably Caleb.
Did you have any other scholarship opportunities before UNC?
Yeah, I was. It was like Duke, Wake Forest, NC State, Tennessee, Florida State. I was recruited by all of them, but Carolina just felt right.
Yeah,
I went there. I remember thinking, why would you ever go play football at Carolina over NC State? Because back then Chuck Amato had NC State they were pretty. Phillip Rivers, they had really good teams. And then I went to Carolina, and I was like, oh, I get it. So that's when I committed to Carolina. Went there, and like I said, I could have had a hell of a career. Didn't work out. The injury really screwed me.
In the injury. So you had all those schools that came after, but no Florida Gators?
So Ron Zook.
Yeah, it's Zook era.
I mean, I went down to Florida State, and they didn't know who the hell I was. And at the camp, I balled out. Like, my numbers were insane. I was playing good ball. So they started recruiting me pretty heavily. Ron Zook was the coach at Florida, and I had no interest in that.
Dang.
He
But
didn't
you're a
have any
Florida
interest in
fan
me.
at heart still.
Huge.
Okay.
Yeah, I still love the Gators. They're trash right now, but they'll figure it out, hopefully. Bring Urban back. I don't know. I love Herbs.
Hey, I like that. There you go.
Yeah.
Man, we got some things in common, Chase Rice and I. We're both Gators. We both have to cringe every Saturday in the fall.
It's not good right now. Carolina's 2-0, but who knows where we're going to go with that. Quarterback got hurt. Especially with Sam Howell, Drake May back-to-back, and we can't do bigger stuff. They got to figure it out.
Yeah. I'm sorry for what I said before we got on the
He
mic.
did say at the beginning of the whole thing, he said, so wait, you're probably never going to see a national title in your entire lifetime at Carolina. But I won 2 in basketball when we were there.
That's
I
true.
won 2. I
Yeah.
I was there at the games.
Yeah, you were
cheering them on. But
cheering them on.
freshman year, we had the Rashad McCants, Ray Felton, Sean May, that team. Senior year, we had the Hansborough, Bobby Frazier, Marcus Ginyard team.
Just a
Ty Lawson.
bunch of dudes.
Stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, those are NBA guys on a college team.
100%.
They're stacked.
Before we get into, I want to talk about kind of where we're sitting today and off the music stuff, but I want to play a game. Okay? Play a game on the show. It's called What If?
Okay.
Presented by Ag America. Love those guys over at Ag America. So I'm going to ask you a few what if questions, and you just answer, as freely as you like. So what if you never had gotten hurt at UNC? You think you'd be in the NFL?
I think I'd have played for a while, yeah. Because that junior year, I would have had a hell of a year. And I remember when it happened. I remember my ankle snapping. It was my peroneal tendon that just completely ruptured. It actually didn't. It was wild. I didn't have any sort of. After the game, it was more like, it's an ankle sprain. They did X-rays at halftime, ankle sprain. The ladies give me the thumbs up. I'm like, there's no way something bad happened. And so afterwards, I'm showering, and I remember putting weight on it, thinking like, all right, if it's an ankle sprain, see what it can do. And first time I stepped on it, the whole tendon just popped and snapped to the front of my ankle, and that's when they knew what happened. They grabbed my foot and pulled it down, and I was done for the year. But yeah, that was
You'd be in the
horrible.
league.
I mean,
You'd be in the league if you didn't get hurt.
I would have been for a little bit. I mean, all 3 of my backups at Carolina, all like first, second, third round draft picks. And I'm just like,
dang.
But they're all retired now.
Yeah, everything happens
still
to
playing. So.
What if Chase Rice wins the lottery? What are you doing?
Oh, God.
And we can't mention anything about the pool.
I'm fixing the pool. I'm fixing that damn pool first. I'd fix this place up and probably buy land in Montana. That's where I want to be, Montana, Wyoming. Other than that, I'd live the life I'm living. The band would make more money. We'd have more buses. It'd be the same life, it'd just be nicer.
Yeah, a little more extreme.
Yeah.
What if Chase Rice has a day off? What does he do?
Yesterday I had a day off and I was here the whole day. I cleaned the house, took Chester around the farm. New farm manager's here. He's gonna, take care of this place while I'm gone. I cleaned up around here. Shot my bow. Elk season's coming, or by this time it'll already be here. Shot my bow. middle elk season, deer season's coming, duck season. Worked Jack, trying to keep him tuned up for ducks. That's what I do here. Or I go out to Troubadour and golf.
Yeah.
And I don't write here. I don't do any of that. Like I said, we did the 3-day retreat in Colorado. Got 9 songs, cutting all of them. So if I'm out west, I'll be in my Airstream. I'll travel to a city I've never been or go see some friends. And it's nice out there because there's no Broadway.
Yeah.
It's like we just sit on back porches and look at the mountains and just stare. It's so nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
And now this is actually more interesting because I didn't know the Survivor story, but it seems like that was especially on the monetary side, it was a big reason why you were able to move to Nashville. But what if you didn't do Survivor?
Oh, I'd probably still be working in NASCAR. There might have been a point at some point I'd have had enough and been like, I have to go at least try this. But, I mean, you get back from that, you go see a friend, and he happens to have a room available in his house, and they happen to be the band that's about to be the biggest band in country music, and nobody has any idea. Like, that's no accident.
Yeah.
Like I said, that led me down my own fault, that led me down some roads that I look back, I'm like, that wasn't me. But also, do you not have to make some mistakes to figure out who the hell you are in the first place? And I had success doing it. Like, I look back on 27-year-old me, I'm like, Ready, Set, Roll was fun. We just had a blast. We were making music that I had fun making. And that all led to where I'm at now, which is like, why the hell would I still be singing about that at 38, 39? I'm just singing about where I'm at now in life. And,
Are you 39?
mm-hmm.
Damn, man.
Oh, come on. God. I'm old as shit. Tar Heels are never going to win a title. This is a good interview.
I love playing that game. So, and this is, I'm telling you, like, I've been living vicariously through on the social media side and what you're doing with the bars, which I'm excited to talk about. But this farm, like, you're passionate about it. And you've got the bison now, which, you know, Godspeed on that. We were talking a little bit about just the nature of the beast when it comes to bison farming. But, like, how'd you even get into that?
That was another COVID thing. I always loved buffalo. I wanted them. I remember talking to Chester, who was the farm manager. Now he's back. But talking about buffalo, he sent me some links like, hey, you could buy these. I'm like, I know nothing about this. So I kind of let it go pre-COVID. During COVID, pastor from Kairos down at Biltmore Baptist, it's not there anymore, but he was on the front porch with me. We had a dinner, and I was looking at it. He said, what do you want to do with all this? I was like, man, I really kind of want buffalo. Call them American buffalo is the proper term, or bison's really what they are. But he said, really? Well, my old trainer has a place called Bullborn Bison down Linville, Tennessee, and I bought my first 10 from him. Then the next year I went to Diamond Tail Ranch in Colorado, got 10 from there, got 1 breeder bull and some yearlings, and that's how I have 37 buffalo now. We had 10 this year. We're going to start sending the meat to 404 Kitchen in downtown Nashville. And the buffalo logo is what we ended up using on the farm, the Welcome to the Farm bars. So that's all accidentally turned into another business. Like, I don't like looking at anything that I'm spending money on and thinking, oh, I'll just spend the money. I want to figure out a way to make money off it somehow.
Well, that's what I love, too, about you. It's like, I mean, you moved to Nashville, get some money in your pocket, and you buy this beautiful place that we're at today outside of Nashville. But, like, you're going back into your roots too. You want to. I mean, you're a farmer at the end of the day. I mean, that's your farm. It's more than just the bison,
farming
right?
and ranching.
You got the timber out here. I mean, so
we just select cut that. I'm trying to make that better for deer hunting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not for deer. It's 150 acres, but which is great. It's huge for me. But that's not going to hold deer on it. So I'm trying to give them as much reason to just stay put in these woods and just hang out with me all fall.
I love that. And you're passionate about what you do. And it goes back to, there's new country, obviously, and I think a lot of that came after COVID, but it goes back to the audience of country music, and 80% of it's rural America. I mean, what's some things that you would say to the rural America group, the farmers out there? Because you're, like I mentioned, I mean, you're out here, you're farming, you're ranching, you're doing what they do every single day. I mean, and those are the people that are listening to your music.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I'd say listen to the new stuff.
Yeah.
Listen to the Cowboys and On record. Yeah, that's just me. That's who I am, and I'm finally showing people that through my music. So I would say that first and foremost. If you're gonna do anything with me, listen to the "I Hate Cowboys" and "Go Down Singing" record. That's me to a T. Second of all, I wouldn't say anything to him. I just hang out. Like, one of my favorite people is Robert up in Illinois. I go deer hunting with him on his ranch. I've killed my 3 biggest deer on his ranches that he leases out and works in Illinois. You don't have to say anything. It's just like you go hang out with your friends. You get to deer camp, you get to duck camp, you get to their land, and there's not much to say. You're just hanging out with your buddies, and that's my favorite part about this life and the life I grew up living outside of Nashville. Was just you're just hanging out, having a good time with your friends. Like,
Which I think is so cool too, and there's people, especially on the country music side, that do that. But when y'all go hunting, I mean, these landowners that just open up the doors and y'all can enjoy their property. Like, it's the coolest thing out there.
Crazy. Like, it's the fact that they'll do that is nuts. And you can go back. There's a lot of people do that during turkey and duck season, especially, or geese, where you're just banging on doors saying, "Hey, these 300,000 snow geese just went down in your field. Do you mind if we hunt it?" And some of them will say yes, some will say no, but it's awesome. Like, when they do it, it's the best feeling in the world, because you're like, oh my God, we're going to get on these things. And Jack's going to have a field day.
Hey, shout out Maple Ranch and Brian, right?
Yeah. I mean,
perfect example.
I didn't know Brian at all. And I got invited by a buddy to Maple Ranch down there in Missouri. We ended up killing all these ducks. Kenny talked shit about my dog. And through that, Kenny and I became friends.
So you've been bringing up a lot the most recent album. So 2023, I Hate Cowboys and All Dogs Go to Hell. Is that the correct?
Is that 23? Yeah, that was 23.
First of all, where does that title come from?
The I Hate Cowboys song was Brad Tersey, Ross Copperman, Hardy, and that was Jake Owen played it for me in Cabo, and he wasn't cutting it. Dierks Bentley cut it, I think, but he didn't do it. So that's the first outside song that I ended up adding my little thing at the end to. And if a song's perfect, I'll cut it without me having to write it. But I write 99% of my own stuff. But that song just hit me. I just loved it. And then I wrote a song called All Dogs Go to Hell, which is, I came up with the idea while I woke up in bed. I was like, what the hell does that mean? Because you can't say that. But it's basically when pigs fly. Like, it's all lies. It's a web of lies. And I'll stop loving you when all dogs go to hell. Or I'll get over you when all dogs go to hell, basically. So I didn't have a title for that album. And I had those 2 songs. I was like, that's kind of a cool album title. And it's going to get your attention. Like, what the hell? And a lot of people won't give it a chance because you talk trash about dogs, they're going to hate you. But
yeah.
Just give it a chance. Make you listen to the songs. And that's how that became the album title of that. And then Go Down Singin' is the one we just put out. And that's
Go Down Singin', which came out now a few weeks ago. I mean, tell me, what an album, man. I mean,
that was kind of 2.0 of the Cowboys record, and it was supposed to be a deluxe, but then the label stuff happened. It was like, all right, we haven't recorded Go Down Singin' yet. Now it seems like the perfect song and the perfect album title and theme of this album, because I'm leaving my record deal. Go Down Singin', we did 11 songs, and we put all 11 of them on there, and that was an easy name for that one, just because it's this theme of the record of, hey, I'm on my own now. If I go down, at least I go down singing. Play off and go down swinging.
I feel like everybody now, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, we're getting this new version of Chase Rice, which is actually the OG.
It's the OG.
Chase Rice.
Yeah. I just didn't know how to do it. And funny enough, I had an interview recently, and I told her that I was like, yeah, I was a huge Eric Church fan. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Not that you're going to rip him off, but you at least get inspired by it and try to create your own version of it. And she laughed. She was like, that's what you were trying to do? I was like, that's a good point. Because I couldn't have gone further the other way with it. But, getting to work with Jay, and who produces Eric, I learned a lot from him. And then Oscar's very much in that same mindset of just keeping the music real and raw. And that's even going to go more that direction, I think. Like, production on Cowboys and Singin' were very similar because they're kind of 2 albums in one. Doing the Fireside sessions. Is Fireside going to be out yet? It will. So Fireside, I wanted to put the Cowboys and the Go Down Singin' record together, all acoustic, featuring the songwriters just recorded here in the living room. So we did.
And Fireside, remind me again, that's basically, in your mind, you're saying Fireside is just when everybody's hanging around the fire, stringing guitars, hanging out.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sitting around a fire situation like you'd play to your friends. And so that's why we did the Fireside sessions, play off of the song Fireside on the Go Down Singin' record. And I think I'm going to do that for every record I do. I don't know if I'll do it that same way, but like put out the work tapes. I don't know. There's just something about the raw first version of that song that was recorded just to remember it. But from the Go Down Singin' record, the one we just wrote in Colorado, I don't see any way we're not calling it Eldora, because we wrote it near Eldora, Colorado. I bought a guitar named her Eldora. Wrote a song called Eldora, which is it's a crazy deep song about this couple, and something went wrong, and he moved back east, and she stayed out in Colorado. And through the mistakes they made and what they did, I'll just let people listen to it when it's out. But he ends up coming back to her. He's basically saying, "We're forgetting about all this, Eldora. I'll be seeing you tonight." And he's coming back to her, and they're going to figure it out. But that album is going to, I don't know what it's going to be yet because we haven't recorded it, but I think that's going to be more based on me and a guitar, and put a band around if we need to, don't if we don't. And just keep it raw and real.
Dude, that's awesome. Do you name all of your guitars, or is that just a one-time thing?
That was just one that, it was cool because we wrote Eldora, we were near Eldora, drove past the Eldora Lodge, and gave us the idea of rolling in. I looked at Oscar, I was like, we need to write a song called Eldora. And I don't know what it's about, but we ended up figuring it out. But after that trip, or in the middle of it, we went to Boulder and just walked around campus, saw all that.
Colorado's campus?
Yeah,
Go see Coach Prime and all that?
I didn't get to see him. I was looking for him, but he wasn't around. And and there was a Martin 018 in the Boulder shop. We almost bought it. Didn't end up doing it. Something was a little off. And then the day after the trip was done, we were driving to the airport, and we wanted to stop at this small little shop right outside of Denver. And on the way, I looked it up. I was like, I want to make sure they have guitars we actually care about seeing. So I looked it up. They had this Martin 028 1922 with Brazilian rosewood and all that just looked kind of like Willie's guitar. It's just older. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to play it. So we walked in, and they had it in the back. They didn't even have it out front. And the guy's like barely wanting to hand it to me. I'm like, dude, I'm serious about buying this guitar. Like, I'm not just trying to play your stuff.
Yeah, and leave.
Yeah. And as soon as I played it, me, Wyatt, and Oscar all played it. It was like, that's my guitar. And we're going to use that guitar to record the entire Eldora album.
Is that a thing where people will go to a guitar store and just like strum a little bit and then just leave and not buy it?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the guys that go into the ice cream shop and like try all the flavors of the ice cream. Hey, I'm good now. Thanks, sir.
Well, it's understandable on guitars. That's just being cheap.
Yeah.
But you can do it, so why not?
Speaking of on the Willie side, you went on the road with Willie, right?
Yeah, he was my first tour I ever went on. It was like a 2-week thing. I was just weekends. But
how's being on the road with that guy?
It was difficult. I was in by myself, had no sound guy. I had no idea what I was doing. First show I ever did, we were in Arizona. I just played that casino recently this year, which was kind of cool to be back there. But I was opening for him. I was telling him stories. I did Survivor. I did all this, telling him my background. Like third song, some old dude in the front's just like, "Where's Willie?" And I'm just like, "Oh no, okay, they don't care." The next night, his like one of his guys that works for him was like, "Hey man, can I give you some advice?" He's just smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, "Please give me any advice." He said, "Just shut the fuck up and sing." And he said that, and I was like, "Okay." And then that night, I didn't say anything. I just went in each song, and it was perfect. Went on stage with him, with Amy's his daughter. She took me up for the thing they do at the end, and that was wild. I mean, I'm just on stage with Willie singing these songs, just like, this is crazy. And so I have an 028 Martin that I'm going to send to Willie, and I want him to sign it.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the things that I like the most. I mean, obviously, country music's my favorite genre out there. I love going to country music shows, but like those tours and like the stories that you get from tours have got to be just...
That would be a dream, because he was my first tour.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that.
What are some cool like tour, stories that you have being on the road that just you remember?
It's been a wild 10 years. I've had fun. I've had my party days. I've had my more chill days. I mean, going back to the FGL days, we were in Brian's two-door Tahoe. I'd open for them. They'd open for me. You're just cutting your teeth trying to figure it out. Like, nobody's there. We played in Augusta, Georgia to like 7 people. We played in Starkville, Mississippi. We had to go to a sorority house that day and like pass out flyers like, hey, we're going to be playing at the theater tonight. So that was just interesting, just fun looking back of like, we had no clue what we were doing. From opening up for Willie to playing with FGL, and all of a sudden within like 1 year, they're like opening for Luke Bryan, selling all the tickets for the amphitheater. That was crazy to see. Kenny Chesney was another one that's just insane. I mean, I grew up on Kenny. So 15, I toured with him. 14, I toured with Dirks, and now here we are 10 years later, and I toured with him again this year. And it's just like, speaking of guitars, 3 days after I bought the Eldora guitar, he hands me a Martin D45 on stage, and those things are not cheap. That's insane. Like, Dirks is giving me Martin guitars now. It's like there's a bookend to this last 10 years of my career that just started with, 10 years ago was Dirks. Then I did Kenny, and then recently we've done Kane, Aldine, Old Dominion, which is cool to see because I grew up with those guys. For them to be selling out arenas is awesome. But now our goal is like, how do we do this? But what I'm figuring out is like, first of all, you just got to be yourself because people aren't going to buy in unless you're yourself. So that's what we're doing. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to change what I'm doing, and that's a fun place to be. But tour stories and stuff, it's been 10 years of absolute mayhem in my life, and I've had an absolute blast. I don't know what I'd change.
I love that, man. I love you coming on the show, and I feel like, like I mentioned, it's like it's this next version of Chase Rice, but it's actually the Chase Rice that started it all. So I think it's really cool. What's next? I mean, when it comes to music, the farm, the bars too. I mean, tell me about, holy cow, you talk about one of your ventures that has really taken off. It's been Welcome to the Farm.
That was another COVID situation where I was doing like the drive-in theaters, and I played a parking lot outside of Columbus, Ohio. And the guys that run Ford Hospitality Group out of Cleveland, they have a couple bars there, and they came to that show, sat me down, like, we're really interested in opening a bar with you. And I didn't want to do the Broadway thing. Everybody's doing that. I wanted to stay out of Broadway, stay out of Nashville, and Cleveland was perfect because my dad's from Ohio. So it was like, okay, I got ties here. And I told him that night, I was like, man, I want a sign when you get to my farm that just says, welcome to the farm. And the guy looks at me, Michael, he's like, that's a great name for a bar. And I was just like, really? I'm like, I was just talking about a sign that I wanted my farm. And he said, no, that's perfect. We'll come to your farm. It was that easy. We'll come to your farm, take pictures of it, look at the barn. I said, I got a barn. That's a cool vibe. I would want it to be, because they kept calling it country bar. I was like, guys, I'm not going to be a part of anything that's called country bar.
Yeah.
There's pictures of the buffalo up in there. We've got Cleveland was the first one. That's absolutely crushing. It's indoor, outdoor, right there on the water. I think they call it the Flats. River North in Chicago just opened. That's the third one we've done, and that one's just kind of getting up and going.
St. Pete.
St. Pete was the second one we did, and that's perfect. It's a smaller spot, but it's right there by Janice Live where I played before, so I knew the spot. I think it was an Irish bar before, but that crushes because Tampa's and St. Pete's full of country people.
It really is.
You know it growing up in Florida. You don't expect it, but they're all over the place down there.
Yep, I agree. And remind me, is there a second one going into Cleveland?
So I Hate Cowboys is right next to it.
Okay. So it's open, like that's the thing. Okay.
It's open. So that's more of the saloon, acoustic, higher end drinks. I actually haven't been there yet. I've been so busy. I haven't been to I Hate Cowboys yet, so I need to get up there. But I usually wait for the fall anyway for Cleveland because I love going to Browns games. So last year I went to the Steelers-Browns. They won like last second field goal. Somebody missed or we made one. But that was so fun. It's just a fun spot to go. And they're all different personalities too. Like Chicago's a little more uppity, big city vibe. St. Pete's just rough around the edges folks from Florida.
Yeah.
Those people party.
Bunch of Florida men.
Those Midwestern Browns fans that I'm in there watching the Browns game. They don't give a shit about me. They want to watch the Browns win a football game, which is awesome. I'll take that all day. And the I Hate Cowboys right next to it with an outdoor alleyway between them. It's a really cool vibe, especially in the summer.
That's awesome. It seems like from you keep on mentioning it, like my dad was from here, and you losing your dad, it seems like you've tried to always find a connection that way. I mean, talking about when you were at UNC and you started writing music about that, and then like that's really cool to see.
Yeah, he ended up becoming the cover of the I Hate Cowboys record. Go Down Singin was me, and the Fireside Sessions is both of us standing together. So that's a wild concept. Like, there's a song called UN85 on the Go Down Singin record that kind of brings the whole project together, because one of the lines is, you made me all who I am today, but you never got to know the kid with your face. So if I could have one thing, it'd be us man to man, couple Coors banquets in hand. And that's the picture of him. I always wanted to use that picture, but I can't use that picture while I'm singing Got My Eyes on You. Like, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that record made it make sense. And he's a huge part of my life. I mean, I lost him when I was 22. That's a terrible time to lose a dad. Moved to Nashville, party town. I went nuts for 10 years. And I think he'd look at those 10 years and he'd probably understand it, because I was just a kid. But now it's a place where, the big stretch, Jack? Yeah, right in front of the interview. Good job, buddy. But yeah, it's just, losing him was a huge part of my life. Now it's a healing part now. It's like when we did the 85 vocal, I'm in there like can't get through it. I'm sad. I'm like bawling my eyes out. Oscar comes in and sits down. He's like, dude, this is not a sad song. Like, this is a celebration of what that moment would look like. So just think of it like that. And that got me through that vocal and made the whole song. And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, he's gone. He's not coming back, but he's here every day. He's, hopefully I don't know what happens after life, but hopefully there's a heaven and we all get to go to it. Mm-hmm. But I think he'd be proud of where I'm at now, and the music I'm making especially. And now it's like, my mom's a grandma. She hates being called grandma. She's Cece. I call her in front of the kids Granny Cece, because she hates that. I got a niece and 3 nephews. It's just a different part of life. And now I have a dog, and maybe one day I'll have a wife and kids, but I'm not there yet, but maybe one day.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What's new? So the album just came out, but on the music side, I mean, any tours we can all look forward to, or anything concrete yet?
Nothing concrete. I love what Bailey Zimmerman's doing. Like, his music and mine couldn't be further than, they're very different. But I just love seeing where he's at in his career, and he is himself. I mean, that kid is a wild man. So we've talked with him about doing some stuff with Bailey. I love Co Wetzel. Co and I got to know each other real well over the last year.
Love that guy, man.
Him and I could do anything together. It makes sense now. Randy Rogers. I haven't been down to Texas in a while, but Randy was on the Dirks tour. We talked about doing some stuff. So it's all up in the air for next year, but we're going to do what we've been doing the last 10 years and keep pushing this new music. I want to do a headlining tour because we haven't done that in a minute, and Cowboys and Go Down Singin record together would be so fun to play live.
Look, I don't know shit about the logistics of country music. I mentioned that you have a really good team, but it seems like with what you're doing with the album that came out last year, the album that just came out a few weeks ago, you're doing the bar stuff, like the farm, like you're making the right business choices. I don't see why a headliner tour doesn't make sense. But like I said, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I would love for that to happen.
It
for
makes
you.
sense now for sure, because we need to play. Dirks, we only had 50 minutes, which is awesome, but we want the full 90 to really sing these new songs. Cowboys has been a year and a half now or so, and so we've sang a lot of those live. We haven't gotten a chance to sing any of the Go Down Singin record really live yet. So, early next year, I'd love to do a headlining tour, even if it's only a month or 2 long, just to get it done before the summer and get, see what these songs do.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do know one thing, like, merch numbers are a big deal in our business, not just because you're making money and that's how you make money, especially early on, but I think it tells you, it's a big indication of where you're at in your career. And my merch numbers were never great, because I think people wanted to come see Ride, Eyes on You, drinking beer, and it was just what it was. the Dirks tour, we started singing this, telling my story and kind of explaining over the 50 minutes. I actually did talk a little bit. You know, that Willie guy wouldn't have liked that, but
Yeah.
Dirks' crowd was a lot more receptive to that. But I told my story, and then we sang a lot of the Cowboys record, and then I'd play a couple hits here and there. Just most of it was acoustic. But the merch numbers were crazy high, especially for an opener. So it was like, all right, people are buying into me now as opposed to just a couple songs. So we'll go back and do a headlining tour, and hopefully people show up.
I love that. And look, man, I'll tell you, the welcome to the farm, who you are as a person. I started this show to do one thing, and that is to make that word farmer more popular. I don't care where you come from, what you do in life. I just want to shed light on that word, because those are the people that every single day feed us, clothe us, work their asses off 24/7, and you embody that. Like, you naming your bar Welcome to the Farm, like, that made my day when I heard that. Like, I love that, and that's why I wanted you on the show.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, the world, we're going to be a world of hurt if that stops.
You're damn right.
If farming stops, we're in trouble. And that's why I want to create the best situation I can for this place. And it's more ranching now than farming, but we do our own hay. You know, that hay goes to the buffalo during the winter when they don't have enough. Buffalo goes to the restaurant, feeds people, and the world keeps spinning.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, if we don't have it, we're in a world of trouble.
Exactly right. That's a great way to end it. I appreciate you coming on the show today, man.
Dude, thanks for having me. This was easy talk for me.
I really do. And as always, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.